Hello, students. I'm Shazli from Top Rankers, and I welcome you all to one of the most awaited session at this moment of time. Why am I calling it the most awaited session? Because that's going to be a panacea for all your problems related to English. Since the time the date has come out for CLAT, that's 3rd of December 2023, lot many students have started taking unnecessary stress on themselves. They have been worried about their own preparation. Probably they know the reality that students are not, they are not so ready about their preparation. They are not so comfortable with reading comprehension. They are still making silly mistakes in their mocks. They are not achieving their desired score in their mock. So probably these things are bothering students for quite some time. And that's what I'm here for. I'm going to tell you everything. Like, we have got 90 days because today is 1st of September. So you exactly have 90 days for your own preparation, how to go about with it, how to feel confident in context to vocabulary, in context to grammar, in context to reading comprehension. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's session. But before I begin with this particular session, I definitely would like to throw a light on the past year papers. So students, you must have noticed that for the last 4 years, like 2020, then 21, then 22, and then 23, CLAT consortium gave much stress on reading comprehension. They didn't ask direct questions on vocabulary, although vocabulary was being asked. But again, that was more on the lines of contextual vocabulary in context to the passage. So none of the question was direct. They asked contextual vocabulary. All right. Another thing is grammar. Grammar, they didn't ask in CLAT 2020, 21, 22, but they did ask questions on grammar in the last CLAT, that is CLAT 2023. There were two questions based on grammar. Now, when we talk about reading comprehension, still lot many students are struggling with reading comprehension. Probably they are not so well versed or acquainted with all the genres which are being asked in CLAT. Now, what are those genres I'm talking about? Probably philosophy, economics, passages based on Indian context, history, psychology, arts and literature, humanities, current affair, and many more such genres. Now, let's talk about genres in detail. They did ask some passages in CLAT 21 and 22 related to literature, but I have noticed one change in the pattern of CLAT RCs. Like in 2023, they did ask passages, but all passages hovered around Indian context. They did ask questions based on Indian history, Indian literature, all right? So all the passages were based on Indian context only. So high time that we should be well versed with everything related to India, Indian history, Indian politics, Indian society, Indian economics, all right? Anything which is related to India is desirable, is something which we can expect, but that doesn't mean that they won't be giving another genres. So you should prioritize, you should prefer reading more on Indian context, all right, and you should prefer reading on the ground of, on the lines of like all the genres incorporating in context to India, all right, like Indian economics, Indian politics, Indian literature, and many more such things. But you should also be reading something related to science and technology, because we never know what they are going to ask in CLAT. And this year they actually played smart. They didn't give proper sample paper. They gave only one passage, although that one passage was also on Indian context only. So that's why I'm saying that you should be ready for anything related to India, all right? But you should always be ready for the surprises, like completely well versed with science and technology, philosophy, history, Indian history, and world history, both. All right. Although a little more in Indian on in context to India, but again, you cannot ignore the other history, economics, politics, and many more genres. Now, how to go about with the preparation? Probably you must have tested and tried lot many math. tried and tested lot many methods, and your wit must be at its end, and you must be facing a lot many problems. Like I've tried so many methods, still the result is not desirable. All right. So I think that is something which is quite common among students these days, and you must be experiencing the same thing. You must be having so many butterflies in your stomach for your CLAT, considering your recent scores in the mocks. All right. So I think high time that we should get the dose, something like this. We can strategize ourselves, we can set target for ourselves, and we can also get the desired result. So are you all set? Are you all ready? Now, target for 90 days. So when we talk about targets for 90 days, I think 10 words in a day may suffice the need. You can download CLAT specific vocabulary, high frequency words, and you can start learning vocabulary. 10 words in a day may suffice the need. So that means in 3 months, you're going to achieve the target like 900 words in 90 days. So that is a decent target, students. And always learn vocabulary via some strategies which I'm going to discuss. Now, second is you should also improve your reading skills via websites. Now, why am I saying that you should read via website? Because many of the trainers and teachers keep suggesting students to read newspaper. I also suggest reading newspaper, but you should limit yourself. You should restrict yourself. You should not spend more than 30 minutes to 45 minutes reading newspaper, because normally the passages which you get in your CLAT examination, they are from different website. They are quite different in nature. Like recently in sample paper, they gave one passage, and that passage was taken from the website The Guardian. All right. So the Atlantic.com, they did ask passages from. The Aeon.com is another website where they have taken some passages. So these are the targeted websites. So these are the websites where you can read something which you can see in your actual CLAT paper as well. So try to be thorough in reading. Every day you should read, say, 5 articles, and those 5 articles should be of different genre, like philosophy, psychology, history, economics, arts and literature, current affair, but most of the time it should be in context to India. Again, I'm saying most of the time, that doesn't mean that you should always refer or you should always read something related to Indian context only. You should always explore, because we never know what kind of uh, passages they are going to give in your class. Okay, now second is practice assignments every alternate day. That means you should not be solving one complete assignment in a day, or you can target like every alternate day I'm going to. So that way, since you have 90 days, so I think 45 assignments should suffice the need. Because if every day you are targeting one assignment, you won't be having time for general reading. You have to have prior knowledge, or prior about philosophy, about science and technology. If you don't have prior knowledge, probably you won't enjoy reading. Probably you won't achieve the desired result. And that's what you must be struggling in your mocks as well. Something out of the box come in the mock, and then you keep struggling with it. All right, I have never ever read something like this. I had no idea about the topic. So why don't we have prior knowledge of each and every genre? Why don't we get acquainted with basic terminologies related to philosophy, psychology, history, arts and literature, economics, and many more genres? So that's how you should read. Like every day, I'm reading something from the website so that I can enhance my knowledge, and that knowledge can be utilized in my mocks as well as in CLAT. Now, student keep struggling with one particular question type, that is reading RC tones. Now, what do you mean by RC tones? I'm sorry. Let me check that. Okay. So, yeah, RC tones. So they do ask at least 3 to 4 questions based on RC tones. So why don't we learn all RC tones? So try to learn in cluster. Like similar kind of tones can be in one particular cluster. Like if I talk about sadness, sad. So you can add the vocabulary like melancholic, dingy, doleful, gloomy, woeful, sorrowful, regretful, remorseful. The entire cluster should talk about something with something related to grief, something related to sadness. So that's how you can make clusters and learn RC tones. There can be multiple clusters like for satire, or at times you can also make cluster like differentiate between satire and sarcasm, or identify the difference between irony and paradox, because these are the tones but they have got differences as well. And students normally fall in all those common traps. Students are not so comfortable in differentiating between explanatory and descriptive tone, all right, or expository and argumentative tone. So that's where you're supposed to identify the difference. You're supposed to identify the major game changing strategies where you actually can reach to a particular or correct tone. So try this particular method. It actually works wonders. So make clusters and learn vocabulary. One cluster might have say 5 words. So you can see that how many words you're going to learn in those 90 days. Now, one foreign phrase every day. Foreign phrases has got its own limitations. One thing, they will not be asking foreign phrases every year, all right? But at times they do ask questions like last year in ALET, which is again one of the law entrant tests. So that's where they asked question related to foreign phrase. So you should be thorough with the foreign phrases as well. So you can set like the target like 200 foreign phrases and one foreign phrase every day if you're learning. So I think again, probably that should, because there are some common foreign phrases where you already know this. All right, like status quo is one, viva voce is one, all right, vis-a-vis is one. So probably you know the meaning of those common foreign phrases. So you can list it out and you can set target maybe one or two. I suggest at least one foreign phrase should be learned in a day or every day. All right, one figure of speech on every alternate day. I think that should suffice the need. Again, what you can do is you just write down the cluster, like the common difference between oxymoron and antithesis, difference between apostrophe and personification, difference between satire and sarcasm, difference between metonymy and synecdoche. All right, these are the common traps. So, student should identify the differences between the two figures of speech, at least with those which are quite confusing for the students, which leads to confusion. So, at least such types of figures of speech should be catered, should be learned with utmost efficiency. All right, so that is another thing which students should focus on. Now, as I told, vocabulary is of great importance. So you can list out words related to history, the common words. Probably you don't know the meaning of those words, but you must have seen in your mock, you must have seen in those articles which you read from the websites. List it out. There are some good ready-made like vocabulary based on the topic, vocabulary based on history, vocabulary based on philosophy. In fact, these are the words which I have taken from those websites only. All right, so you can simply download those list of vocabulary, topic specific vocabulary. You should learn those common words which can be given in your mock, and you should know the meaning of at least those words in order to have better understanding for the passage. So you can list it out, students, or you can simply download and learn it accordingly. So vocabulary, one strategy is topic specific vocabulary. So that works wonder for CLAT student, especially now, because now you're running out of time. Now whatever will be there in the mock will be around those specific genres only. I suggest many strategies to the students. I suggest students to get acquainted with mnemonic technique, like you learn words via words association. For that you can refer to a specific website, and I think I'm going to address that. But I think this is the best strategy at this point of time, when you don't have enough time. You have just 90 days and you should be good at reading, vocabulary, and grammar. All right, high time that we start learning vocabulary via topics or topic specific vocabulary. So I have written some words related to history here. Now you can see another cluster of words related to philosophy. These are the common terminologies which students keep, seeing, they must have seen in their mocks, they must have seen in their actual PYP of CLAT. All right, so you can see those words. Utilitarianism has been given in a number of times in their CLAT examination. Mysticism is one. Absolutism is one. Metaphysics have been asked again and again. Dualism, you must have seen in your CLAT paper or even in the mocks. All right, to try to get acquainted with the definition of philosophy. All those philosophy related definitions should be learned and they should be understood. Here, I would like to give my input that if you don't understand a particular word just via meaning written on Google or in the dictionary, I think the best way is referring to the YouTube. Just go and write down the word, and you can write down that define dualism. You will get amazing videos on those topics. So it's always interesting to read or to learn vocabulary definitions via YouTube. It is perhaps the best strategy for philosophy. Okay. Now, next is literature. Again, you can download the list and learn those words. You can cram those words. You can understand those words related to literature. Economics, these are the words probably you must have seen in your passages based on economics. Fiscal, deficit, inflation, these are the common terminology, but still students, they are not confident about their knowledge about those definitions and words. So high time that we all learn these words. Now next, words related to science and technology. I have just given a few examples here. There is a huge list of all those genres and topics. You can simply download, you can simply copy paste those words and start learning, because that's where you're lagging behind and that's where your score is coming down. All right. So it's better to learn all those topic specific words. Current affair, I have taken a few words on the same line. Now, what are the different techniques of learning vocabulary? You can learn words via mnemonic technique. All right. So for mnemonic technique, mnemonicdictionary.com is the good source where you can see words. I'll just give an example here. One word is asinine. So if you break this word like 89, अगर आपके 80 मतलब 80 में से 9 marks आते हैं, that means you're stupid. The meaning of asinine is as stupid. All right, so that's how you learn words. So that mnemonic word association is given in that mnemonicdictionary.com. All right, second is words clustering. For that, you can simply refer to thesaurus.com, where you can learn all synonyms and antonyms together in one single cluster. And that's perhaps the easiest way of learning vocabulary. The benefit of this strategy is you can learn many words in limited time, in some time. Now, next is words etymology. Now, how to go about with this? The source is What Par Made Easy by Norman Lewis. All right, where you can learn words via different route. I'll just give an example here. Root is locu, which is related to talk and speech. All right, you can learn the entire cluster of words related to the same root, like loquacious. Then another word can be eloquent. Loquacious is talkative. Loquacity is talkativeness. Eloquent is a good orator, one who is very good at speech and talk. Circumlocution is roundabout speech. That means beating around the bush, not coming to the point. You're simply hovering around the topic. That is circumlocution. Then grandiloquent and magniloquent, related to bombastic vocabulary, where you use vocabulary like Shashi Tharoor. All right, so that is, his speech is marked with grandiloquence. All right, what a lovely grandiloquent compliment. Like one of my students gave me a compliment, your prima facie makes me feel cascadora. That was a grandiloquent compliment. मतलब उसका कहना सिर्फ इतना था कि मैम आपको देख के अर्ली मॉर्निंग में सारी टेंशन दूर हो जाती है, and I feel a little more comfortable just by looking at you. So your prima facie makes me feel cascadora. That was a grandiloquent compliment. So that is again related to what? Bombastic vocabulary, talk, flowery language, using rhetorics. So that is grandiloquent. All right. So you have seen some words related to the root, that is locu. Elocution can also be one word, that is public speaking. Okay. Now topic specific vocabulary, the source is Google, the way I have mentioned. Like in previous slides, you must have seen that I have mentioned a few clusters related to some genres, and I have simply taken those words out from Google itself. All right, so these are the strategies of learning vocabulary. One important point here is revision, which is a key, all right, without which you cannot learn words. I suggest that students that if they are learning words today, so today itself they should revise those words 5 times, tomorrow twice, then the day after, I think tomorrow thrice, then the day after twice, then once. That's all. I think that will work wonder for the students. Okay, so these techniques, as I have mentioned, topic specific words like sad का मैंने एक पूरा cluster आपके साथ बता दिया बच्चा. I gave the same example before as well. Melancholic, dismal, dingy, doleful, sorrowful. All right, so words clustering. That is exactly the correct sample for that words clustering technique. Now, next, okay. Websites for literary articles. So I think for literature, these are effective websites where you can start reading, you can start enhancing your knowledge for literary passages or passages related to literature itself. You know what, students, I have noticed one thing. You find very difficult passage quite easy when you know about that topic, and you find some easy passages difficult because you don't have prior knowledge. So for prior knowledge, you should start reading articles from different websites. That is the only strategy. Try to have prior knowledge of each and every genre so that at the time of your CLAT or attempting mock, you feel confident that, okay, I have read this, I have read something related to it, so I am quite comfortable with the topic. All right. So websites for literature. What you can do is, students, is you can simply pause this video here. You can write down those websites and start reading articles from these websites themselves. अब देखिए बच्चा, websites for science and technology. Please pause a video here again and write down the names of those websites where you can read articles related to science and technology. Again, please pause this video and write down the websites for philosophy. Kindly pause this video for websites for economics where you can get articles based on economics. Try to read something more on those genres where you feel more, like uncomfortable. If you find economics difficult, you should challenge yourself. You should read more on economics rather than the familiar genre. Again, recapitulation, students, 90 days strategies. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to read articles so that you can have prior knowledge of each and every genre. Read 5 articles per day, 10 words per day so that you can learn 900 words in that short span of time, that is 90 days. Practice assignments. Learn RC tones, 1 cluster per day, 1 foreign phrase per day, 1 figures of speech per day, because these are the different question types which can come in your reading section for English. Okay. Now, there are many students who have been preparing for 1 year. There must be some students who must be preparing for 2 years. There must be some students who have recently started preparing themselves. So this target can vary for those students. These are the targets for those students who have been studying or preparing themselves for CLAT for over a year, for a year or so, like more than a year, like for almost a year or more than a year. But those who have recently started preparing themselves, they can read 7 articles per day, or they can learn, say, 15 words per day. All right, that's the only change. For grammar, choose some topics like subject and verb agreement, tenses, then articles, then parts of speech, then punctuations. I think these five topics are quite important in context to CLAT because, again, those questions will be asked from reading comprehensions, from passages themselves. Okay, so I think these four topics are quite important when we talk about CLAT. I have seen such questions in CLAT 2023. So I think this much of grammar should suffice the need of the students. So that is all, students. I hope you must have been comfortable or you must have felt a little more confident after attending this entire session. I think your vision must have been cleared now that yes, I have got the clarity that what all things should I prepare, what all things should I be doing in those 90 days. All the very best, students. May you all rock and you all clear your CLAT with flying colors. And I'm quite confident for the students, like if they, like follow these strategies, if they achieve these targets which have been set today, I think they can really work wonder in their CLAT. So thank you so much. I hope you liked the session. If you liked it, so please do click on the like button and appreciate the session. That's all. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.